Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with Asperger's syndrome and the like, along with tips and advice along the way. So if you're new to my channel, as I said, hopefully you'll find something of interest, whatever it may be, to educate you all or motivate you all or what have you, so that hopefully I can advocate and mentor you guys into learning more about me and people like me, because that's where I roll right now, being an advocate for the autistic community, for people like me. So today I want to share a topic that is the second part to what I was sharing yesterday, even though I forgot to add a few bits and pieces, which hopefully in saying this will be added into this second piece, which is stop using autistic as an insult. If you haven't seen the very first one of the real brief one that I shared with you all yesterday, I'll link it in the description below so that you can have a look into it, as well as maybe in the iCard above me on the right hand corner of the screen to check that out. So as I said, this is going to be based on my life experiences of what I'm about to share as an Aspie, and for many of us like me that may have heard about this on the spectrum of what's being said and done, and that we know that there's, as I said, so much stigma, stereotyping, and obviously miscommunication, misunderstanding between us all about what autism is all about and how many other mental health conditions roll with it, as well as also the stereo and stigmatization of also mental health. Although we know some topics we share on the social media these days are so taboo that we aren't supposed to share it, obviously we're losing the sense of freedom of speech, and sometimes, especially on YouTube waves up a red flag or what have you, or just demonetize some video topics that are close to our hearts to share, regardless what it may be, and one of which is obviously like for the permittance or allowance of us to share it is autistic related topics, be it if it's our everyday life experiences, living on the everyday functions of it, showing it to you guys what life is like, or some of the other sensitive topics that usually gets that red warning sign or the red flag is obviously a no-go for YouTube as well. And in saying this, that I feel that it needs to be broken and needs to be said and it needs to be shared regardless, because I feel in my whole heart, regardless of it all, I mean to say is that, you know, we need to be aware that this is real and it is existing and it's happening, no matter what it is that we go through in our everyday lives, as well as maybe in the outside world of what's going on around us, regardless. So I believe strongly right now that this topic and more that I share with you all needs to be addressed. However, you can choose to agree or disagree with me, or agree to disagree, or what have you. The choice is up to you, obviously, because you guys have a mindset of your own, obviously, and hopefully in saying this, you know, that you can just respect some of my opinions as I do with you guys, and just, you know, shed the light with it all and that. But I want to just take this on a different path right now, and this topic of the, you know, stop using autism as an insult or what have you, or not using autism or autistic as a form of an insult, because obviously, you know, many people tend to, as I said, misunderstand or misinterpret it in a way. But this can be summed up in so many, you know, sentences or words and whatnot that we choose to, you know, use. But I want to clearly address today, how do we reach to this standoff point right now to use the word autism as an insulting or offensive form of word to others around us. Obviously, I've already shared with you my life story with autism or Asperger's syndrome, which I'll link in the description also, as well as on the iBay above me if you want to check out more, if you're new to my channel, just to get to know me more about my diagnosis and everything else, so that you can understand hopefully how I, you know, work as a form of an autistic or person with Asperger's syndrome, so that hopefully that you don't have that similar mindset like others, that, you know, every autistic is the same, for the ones that you have, you know, seen or talked to, because obviously, as I said before, many people on the autism spectrum are different regardless of their needs and accommodations to benefit them in the long run. Anywho, I also want to share here, you know, if you're interested, it's up there. So when I first heard the word autistic and every other form of word, be it autism and whatnot, for some of us, it was used as a form of descriptive kind of context, or even a title or a form of diagnosis now for someone who has autism. This word autistic for some can be a curse for, the ones that are on the spectrum. Some may see it as a blessing, regardless what it may be. Some of it may also find it offensive, or some of it a relief after finding out what they really have got now, and hopefully they can live as normal as possible in their everyday lives, regardless what goes down. And I feel that in saying this, that, hopefully that we can live our life as normal as possible, or as best as way as we can, even though it may not, suit the everyday neurotypicals, basically telling us this is not the way to live or what have you. But then again, that's up to us, obviously. Some of us want to try and live our normal lives regardless of everyday, labels or what have you, and sometimes hopefully see it deemed fit possible regardless of what we have got, regardless if it's a mental health condition, be it depression, anxiety and whatnot, versus autism, Asperger's syndrome or the like. I've had a few conversations with others on the spectrum, outside the YouTube community. Some were in the Facebook community versus, just people in general that I, have come across my path in my everyday living, regardless what it is. And they find some NTs downright rude and disrespectful, regardless of what we say to them. And they have that quick assumption or judgment call in the quick instant, basically based on it, oh, you're autistic, you don't look autistic, and all these other, frame of things, or you need to be fixed, you need to be cured and all this. It's like the saying goes, why should we be cured or fixed or what have you? And I feel that basically, and my question is for the NTs and the ones that are curious about us being autistics, wouldn't it just be nice that it wouldn't not hurt, just at least to get to know the person first before making that quick assumption? Because obviously, we are getting judged now and again and assumed by others, and we all are bad for making that assumption call or judgment call on a particular someone that we don't wish to talk to them, regardless of maybe what they look like or how they speak, or something's in the way that's causing them not to want to talk to that other person. Example was, if someone had a form of disability and they are in a wheelchair, they look at the wheelchair and not at the person directly. In saying this though, how we may come across and how we speak though as autistics though, or even just normal everyday people, how we think and act towards others may come as a threat or insult to others. So we need to be sure, hopefully, if we can, build up our lips a bit more, or think before we speak, and actually just to tread with care and treat others the way we want to be treated as the golden rule, I believe. So let's look deeper into the word insult here for a minute while I'm here. Insult is defined as a statement of an intention to inflict pain, injury or damage or other hostile action on someone in retribution for something that has been done or not been done towards that other person. This is usually also used as cast a person out to the left or right, what have you, that someone is this, that and the other, and based on the other bad names that we could be talked about, Obviously, I don't like using the form of disability much, as and because of disability, it just means that it's the outside of the norm for many people of their understanding, obviously, and they just tend to just go away their busy life and whatever. It's quite easily looked upon to create everyday insults though, however, just be in mind. However, when we're on the spectrum, looking at autism as an insult is based on the neurotypical superiority and obviously their way of thinking, how they may have come to see us as a whole. And unfortunately, it goes to all the trolls and bullies out there that does around the world, basically, that does this, or the well-meaning people of the world that does this as well, no if, doubts, or maybes. However, you know, there'll always be bullies and trolls out there, you know, to try and, you know, take our fame, take our glory, or whatever else it may be, or take our shine, making us unhappy. And sometimes, obviously, in saying this, some of them that does this are the ones that are insecure, maybe jealous, maybe just, you know, wants to gain attention from us regardless of what they're doing towards us. But then again, I'm not saying that we should be, you know, accepting these everyday behaviours that they throw at us, be it insults, be it punches, be it, you know, violence kind of stuff, you know, what have you, you know, no, far from it. It's based on just knowing what's right and actually to accept what it is and come to the fact of reality is, yes, you want to just say that, you know, you forgive them and try not to show any bitterness towards that particular someone, regardless. Also, in saying this, by not excusing their behaviour or to choose to accept their behaviour, yet with some of these type people we can't, you know, accept their behaviour, yet with some of these type people we can't, you know, see them as part of the autistic community as an advocate for autism, because obviously they'll do more harm than good for us. So this is focused on for the well-meaning and well-deserved people in the world, to the people who does care about autism and wants to help us out, to the people who here's that someone who has assumed or think when they have, you know, or have been about having autism, tend to show pity upon the ones that has autism and wants to help. So basically, you don't need to show pity, it's just a bit more empathy and understanding and caring and just a listening ear to some of us when we are actually trying to express how we feel and whatnot. To the people who hears that someone who has assumed or think when they hear about anything about autism, as I said, doesn't have to have a normal life. For some of us that do show pity, that they think, you know, being autistic, we don't have a normal life like anybody, whereas it's quite the opposite, yet we need to be understood, as I said. When people use autism as a casual or insulting way, I am the type of one, as an advocate or what have you, need to stand up and rise above it all and say enough is enough, you know. Just bear in mind that not to use us as objects of oppression. Also, I want to say don't automatically assume about us and how our way of thinking and abilities are different. Yes, they are different due to our wiring of the brain and whatnot, you know, that it's not bad or not deemed appropriate to you guys, because obviously that's how we roll. Obviously it is inherently disabling, just to say the least, for some of you that may assume and think about it, especially for the sake of one part of our everyday trait or characteristics of something here. Say we could say be these oversensitive receptors, you know, of the inputs and outputs that goes in and outside the brain, sending these messages, how we should act or react to these everyday situations, be it sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to smell, or what have you. That will then obviously, of course, I can't stress it enough, to meltdowns, overloads, temper tantrums maybe, or what have you, but you need to, you know, you need to define if they are tantruming or they're actually having a meltdown. As I said before, there is a piece there, hopefully, I shared about the difference between tantrum and a meltdown, and I'll link it up in the description below, as well as also in the bar above you as a card for you guys to look at, just to gain a better understanding. The classic example will have various levels of impact of these oversensitive receptors for many autistics. I feel and believe strongly that some of our everyday struggles are from society and people just in general being over, you know, structured or misconstrued about this misunderstanding about us. The everyday life and situations we may face shouldn't have to be a struggle based on the assumptions or misunderstandings of others around us, however, as an autistic. But for autistics who are maybe watching, want to some of this to stop viewing it maybe as an insult. Choose this as a form of identity, pride, and honour. That you've got this as you, and it's part of you, it's who and what you are, you know. Bullies are gone to be bullies, and trolls will always be trolls, as I said, and none of which should ever be accepted in this form of behaviours. However, we shouldn't be submitting to the narrow-mindedness, narratives, etc. from these entities. To entities wanting to be a friend or ally to an autistic or being on the autistic community, and you hear the word autism as an insult, I can't stress this enough, you know, rather than challenging the other ones that you hear saying this about the behaviours and attitudes of saying this behaviour is unacceptable and shouldn't be done about it. Maybe reverse it, saying, you know, why is it an insult? What's so bad about being an autistic? Ask them the whys. Just keep challenging them. However, again, if you're an autistic, you know, yourself, and you're expecting the neurotypicals to throw at your feet or to bow down at your feet or whatever as a verbal blow or form of defiance, wear it as a badge of honour of who and what you are, you know. Wear it with honour and pride, and just say, basically, thank you, I am who and what I am, and I accept who and what I am as a person. You know, and never mind about the others if they don't accept you as you. So this quickly ends the second part of Stop Using Autistic as an Insult Part 2. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Smash the like button. Comment below. Feel free to actually let me know, basically, you know, what form of insults have you been hearing if you are an autistic, and what have you done about it? You know, what does it feel like for you as a whole, you know, of you being an autistic? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And, you know, just maybe for the sake of it, weigh up the pros and cons of being an autistic, because obviously we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I believe that, you know, we should just be able to love ourselves regardless of this label or, you know, diagnosis or whatever you want to call it. So, no further ado, guys, basically follow me on my social media sites listed below. Feel free to also, if you haven't done so and you wish to join me on the bandwagon to know more about me or anything else basically that I share, don't forget to subscribe, because I'm hoping to do this on the daily, Monday to Friday. If not, it'll be 3 days a week, as I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Feel free to also, once you're down there, when you do decide to subscribe, to turn on the notification bells to keep up to date with the new videos, as well as just anything that I bring out to you, hopefully. So no further ado, guys, thanks for support, thanks for watching, do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.